So, just very quick introduction to the video that you're about to see with Jim Gale from Food Forest Abundance. Now, so many of us, we are so aware of what's not good about what's going on at the moment, the problems that we're facing everywhere around us. But this is a really uplifting episode where we can really sort of get rid of all the excuses and start doing something that's going to help our health, our wealth, our vitality, our connection with nature, make us less controllable and less dependent. Food security is non-negotiable now. We all know the problems that are being thrown at us from every direction. And you're going to hear Jim very simply talk about, look, there are no excuses. It doesn't matter whether you've got a kitchen windowsill or a huge, great farm. You can literally start right here, right now to start taking the power back. He talks about the geoengineering, the toxins, the climate shifts, water, composting, where we can all start no matter where we live in the world, even in the rainy UK. So enjoy this. And I would say that there is a link. Food Forest Abundance have helped my family so much get our plans off the ground, and they're so knowledgeable and so helpful. You can get a free consult with them. So there's going to be a link and a discount code below. The discount code, you only need the consult. The initial consult is completely free, no obligation, but there's a discount code if you decide to employ them to help them come up with a design. We've had the most amazing Philippa and Henry helping us out. They are incredible. They're passionate. They'll get you started. They'll come up with the perfect design for your budget and your area. But you don't have to do that. You can do all this all yourself, as you'll find out for Jim. Nothing's hidden. You can do it all yourself. But if you're like me and you want a little bit of a helping hand, this organisation are a must. So check out the link below. Let's go and meet Jim. Right, everyone, you've got an exciting treat today because we're going to be doing a real practical video for you today about something that's so important, creating food forests and growing our own food. Now, before we dive in and I introduce my guest, we're at a real crossroads. Food is freedom. And right now we've got rising food prices. We've got soil degradation, we've got supply chain disruption, we've got geoengineering and environmental manipulation. And so many people are really struggling with getting healthy. You know, we know you've got this Make America Healthy Again, but let's face it, if food is at the absolute crux of that. And so many people think it's so difficult to start growing their own food. Jim's in Florida, I am in the rainy UK. But the more food we grow, quite frankly, the less control we give away. So today we are all going to sit back. I'm going to learn as much as the rest of you from the amazing Jim Gale, who is the founder of Food Forest Abundance. And Jim, I'm so delighted to have you back again. How are you doing?
Oh, Catherine, it's wonderful to be here. I'm just putting a chair down next to my dog Lily here in the food forest. Oh, look at these mulberries. Look at how many are coming in here. These mulberries will be about as big as my pinky here in about 2-3 months.
It's fantastic. I'm going to tell you now. I really want everyone to understand before we dive in what a food forest is, Jim, because a lot of people, and I didn't before I spoke to you and your team, really understand the difference between how a food forest differs from, a traditional garden vegetable patch.
Yeah. So this is a food forest. It's a perennial food production system. I liken it to the Garden of Eden or Eden, right? Where you simply walk around. I'm not a farmer. I respect the heck out of most farmers unless they use poisons. I just don't want to work that hard. I want to just be able to walk around and grab food whenever I want all over the place. And that's what we've created here.
So you're on a big plot. I mean, a lot of us, most people don't own that much land, and I can see the sun and the blue skies, and actually you've got normal shaped clouds out there, which is a miracle these days.
Yeah.
But we've got listeners from all over the world. You know, I'm in the UK. We've had probably the worst winter that I can ever remember. Not in terms of cold, but in terms of wet and lack of sun.
Yeah.
And I certainly don't think that's natural. We've got people from all over the world, Jim. So with people that haven't got great big plots like you, How achievable is it for people to create food forests on all different size areas?
One of our partners, his name is Eric Heinzelman. He was a chef at Planet Hollywood and very successful chef and grower. And he's in a condo, a 2-bedroom condo, and he's on the second floor. And he has an 8 foot by 10 foot deck. And the deck is a food forest deck. He has probably 15 or 20 different types of foods growing on his deck. And then his spare bedroom, he is earning over $9,000 per month out of his spare bedroom and bathroom, which he has turned into a mushroom grow room.
Oh my God. Now that is fantastic because that's really inspirational. And I must say, we had Jim's team do a food forest design for us probably 2 years ago now. And honestly, I have to put my hand up, Jim, and say, I'm just getting my phone over so I can tell you what we've planted. But it's been slow because we had the design done and then we had various, unfortunately, family illnesses and, life happens. But we have just planted 3 apple trees, an apricot tree. Last year we planted about 12 blueberry bushes. We've got loganberry, raspberry, gooseberry, red currant, black currant, and all the green vegetables. So we're getting there. And I want to encourage people to say you don't have to do it all at once, but with the food forest, you talked about the perennial and you've got an example there. I mean, everyone thinks about soil quality. We're really struggling with soil at the moment. What did you start with? What did your land look like a few years ago?
Well, Catherine, that's such a beautiful question. So, in April, it'll be 3 years. So, 3 years ago, everything around me was lifeless. There was sand. It was Florida sand, sugar sand with some clay. And then we put mulch on the ground, right? Like this stuff here. See that? That's like little wood chips.
Yeah.
And then we put perennial peanut all over the place, like all this stuff here. Perennial peanut. And perennial peanut is a nitrogen fixer and a pioneer. And along with sunshine mimosa and the ice cream bean tree and things like Mexican sunflower, these plants grow well in poor soil and they help bring nutrients and they help create life in an area and shade and wind block and they help store water. And so we started with that. And now, less than 3 years later, we have just this epic food production system that's basically on its own now. If we left this and did nothing else to it and came back in 30 years, barring some type of catastrophe or poisons, this food forest would have spread hundreds of miles.
It's incredible, isn't it? And why are you so passionate? Because about really spreading the word for people to start turning. I know when we spoke last time that you were doing a big campaign to get everyone to turn their back garden lawns into food forests. But us humans, we're a bit slow on the uptake sometimes, Jim, and we can talk and we can see the problems coming, but we're very good, myself included, at coming up with all sorts of reasons why we can't do something. But things are pretty desperate now, aren't they? I mean, what is your call to action to people that are on the fence?
The opportunity is bigger now than it ever has been to take the poisons out of our lives and to live healthy and free. And what I've learned is the more I interact and engage with this system, this living system, this healing system, this free energy system, the more I interact and engage with this system, the happier and healthier I am. So it doesn't take any time to manage this system. This system is actually a time giver, right? It's a time giver to the max, right? So it just changes everything we think about nature and about fearing nature. Instead, we start loving nature again, which is God's design. And then the amount of abundance that comes from her is exponential.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And how bad? I mean, obviously you're in America, I'm in the UK, we've got listeners all over the world. I mentioned at the start some of the problems that are facing us all, but the food supply chain is in absolute crisis in most of our countries at the moment. I don't think anyone watching this will have not noticed how much food cost prices have gone up over the last few years, but also how the quality's often gone down. And we've got everything from bird flu to all the fake foods, the poisons that are put in our food supply, the GMOs. I mean, how bad do you think the problem is? And again, why are so
Yeah.
many people not jumping on the bandwagon and doing something about it? What do you think's stopping us all?
Well, this is the big one. This is the apocalypse, which simply means lifting the veil. We are experiencing the great awakening, and it's happening at an accelerating rate. Right. So it seems to be time, and all of these things are kind of coming together right now. The singularity, right? The AI explosion, all of these different stars are aligning, and the aliens and all this craziness, right? Is coming together. And we are waking up at such scale to what the problems are in this fight. It's like a divine battle of good and evil, right? Or live and evil. Live backwards is evil, right? The devil
Yeah.
never lived. It's all backwards. And so we either wake up and live with faith and courage. And I'll actually share a little bit about that, what that means to me, so you can feel what it means to what we're doing here. So we built 10 homes without asking the government for permission. And I've been on 500 or 600 shows, and I've shared that message. We've invited the governor and the president. In fact, I met last year with Bobby Kennedy for quite some time. Him and I sat down, and I shared with him the solution to all the world's biggest problems, from mass extinction and deforestation and cancer and to tyranny and to hunger and scarcity. And he agreed. So what is happening now is basically we are reaching out and demonstrating faith and courage and freedom. And then we're inviting the government to participate with us, but we will not participate with the government. So about 16 months ago, a government agent came here and he asked to see my building permits. And I took him into the food forest. Well, first of all, I said, you don't have the right to be here. And after a short conversation, he agreed with that. And then I said, before you leave, I'd like to show you what we're actually doing here. And then I brought him into the food forest and I shared with him that it is our obligation, it's our moral duty to our posterity, our kids and grandkids, and everything we love to steward this land. And what your agency will do, what they will allow me to do, is to kill and poison everything, as represented by every HOA community that you have approved up and down the road, which are biological death zones.
Yeah.
And he got a tear in his eye and he said, you're right. And they have not been back.
Wow. I pray they're not. And this is it's such a great message. Now, I was speaking to someone today, before we get into the nitty gritty, because I've got a list of questions for you, if that's okay.
Awesome.
But I was speaking to a couple of people today, and they both came up with the same issue, that they've been very worn down with things like the geoengineering. They're like, we want to be growing our own food, but when we're being poisoned from every direction, it seems overwhelming. So I can't go any further without asking you, let's get this one off the table. What are your views on that? How are you hopeful? And what's your message to people who are letting that hold them back?
So it's all BS. It's belief systems that are programmed by bad science, and it's all bullshit, right? It's BS. So I'll give you an example that we could debate here with some of those folks. We could share. So this this mulberry tree has thousands and thousands of delicious and nutritious fruits on it, right? Within 3-4 months, this thing will be loaded with food. And we aren't doing anything. We put it in the ground. We dug a hole. We put soil around it, and we put some plants around it. And we might have added some compost tea a couple of times, right? So the amount of energy that we have into that living system is maybe 2 hours, right? Total. It's probably less than that. But if you include the irrigation and stuff, it might be 2 hours. Now, look at the value that that 2 hours of energy is producing, but not just right now. That will go exponential. So next year, it'll be more and more and more. And then we can cut 30 baby mulberry trees off of this mulberry tree right now. So we could turn that mulberry tree into 30 more mulberry trees. And here's the thing, doing it creates more yield while healing our body. So the idea that they don't have time to grow food, well, Thich Nhat Hanh was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, and he used to garden every day, and he used to get very busy as a Nobel Prize winner, and or at least I think Jimmy Carter nominated him. Anyway, somebody said, "You're too busy to garden," and he said, "I'm too busy not to."
Yeah.
Just like Gandhi with the spinning wheel. This is our salvation right here with nature.
I couldn't agree more. Now, what about the geoengineering? Because I've got friends in Spain who've got an organic orchard that's been in their family for 3 or 4 generations, and their crops have been plummeting over recent years because of things like the geoengineering. So, what do we all do about that? And how do you not let that put it off? I mean, there's no signs of anything nefarious in your skies at the moment, which I'm pleased to see.
Yeah, not at the moment, but it's been a shower of geoengineering up until just lately. So first off is soil is the foundation of life of their orchard. And their soil has been mined and poisoned.
Yep.
And so there's one solution that is the most fundamental, and that is take out the poisons. Stop adding anything to the land that is not regenerative and that does not build life. And then, first thing is take out the poisons. The second thing is then start building soil.
Yep.
So we are partners with people, all multiple people in different places in the world that have soil building systems. And these are living systems. They're not some fancy contraption. They're living systems where maybe you put a little liquid in a biodynamic spinner, and then you put that liquid, which is 1,300 different living microorganisms, on the soil, and it's the catalyst for growth.
I love it. So basically, I think I'm getting the message that your message is stop making excuses, all of us, and get on with it.
That's exactly right, my friend.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So going back for people that say a family that's got a half-acre plot, which is still a lot for a lot of people, particularly for us in the UK where we don't, land is very much at a premium.
Yeah.
I loved the service that Food Forest Abundance offers for people that you can do it right from scratch and learn yourself, can't you? There's no reason why
Absolutely.
anyone can't. But if people are time poor, tell us about the team that you've got,
Yeah.
Jim, and what sort of services that they can offer to people all over the world, because we've all got different climates, different soil types, different elevations, etc.
Yes, I love it. So the folks at Food Forest Abundance are designers, and they're very passionate about regeneration and bringing to the world in a way that is duplicatable and scalable the solutions. So the designers have certificates, and they will, in fact, it starts with a strategy session, which doesn't cost anything. It's
Yeah.
usually about half an hour, and they'll help everybody learn how to grow food. Then, for those who would like to hire one of the designers to go to the next level, they'll create a professional, very detailed design plus narrative for you.
It's absolutely amazing. So ours, it was fantastic because they look at everything from composting, as you say, how to create the guilds. I'd like you to explain to people about what a guild is and why
Yeah.
that's so important. But the design, if anyone can go for that, I can't recommend it enough because they really look at the drainage of your soil, the sun, the climate, the growing seasons, absolutely everything that as a novice you might not think to look at and come up with a whole thing within your budget. And it's so exciting for us now to be going through and putting everything and just sort of having that confidence that we're giving everything that we plant the greatest chance for success.
Yeah, that's so awesome. You know, that The science of permaculture is so well studied and so well proven. And when we simply observe and interact with nature, and then we make steps and we design using guilds, which are communities of plants that support each other, then it takes our labor out of it, and nature supports nature, and we get the benefits through stewardship.
Brilliant. So what you're doing then really is, I know one of the things in our design is layering. So, you've
Yeah.
got plants that are in the ground, and then you've got the ones that are just above, and you're doing lots of different layers with lots of perennials, so that instead of having to start from scratch each year, it's just getting better and better each year. So talk us through that principle, because I think a lot of people miss out on that.
Yeah, that's actually such a relevant question to what we're doing right now. So we've got 5 acres in the middle of this food forest and another one at the north end of the property that we're now turning into a huge food production system. And we're starting out by putting in annual beds, right? Annuals are plants, tomatoes and cucumbers and squash and peppers, things that grow, and then you harvest and take the seeds and grow another crop. But within the annual beds, we're putting all sorts of perennial plants in. So over time, annuals produce basically on 2 layers. They produce on the under the soil, which is roots and tubers like potatoes and turmeric and ginger, and then everything right on top, the lettuces and tomatoes and cucumbers and everything. So when a perennial food forest matures, it'll have the roots and tubers, the herbaceous layer, the smaller shrubs, the larger shrubs, and the smaller fruit trees and larger fruit trees and the vines. So now you've got like 7 layers of food in the same 3D space as you do just 2 layers before.
I absolutely love it. It's amazing how much you can fit in. And this is where I would encourage everyone's watching this, like your friend that's got a little deck to
Yeah.
someone that's got more land, or looking at what you've got in the local community, because there are quite a few people here in the UK where they've bought land as communities and they're starting to do this, which is really, really exciting. So, what have you seen in terms of we started a bit by talking about some of the crises,
Yeah.
facing us humans and all our animals in the food supply chain.
Yeah.
What are
The,
your thoughts on that, and how serious do you think it is?
well, it's as serious as it gets, but the solution to the seriousness of it is to let go of all fear of it,
Yeah,
and to rise your frequency, your energy to that at base of faith and courage. And then from that base of not being directed by fear, then we can see more clearly what paths open up. And I've never been happier or healthier or more abundant in my life. I don't have much money in the bank, but I am the wealthiest I've ever been in my life by far, because I'm surrounded by nature's wealth, right?
yeah,
The real wealth, not the fiat wealth. So I see that a lot of people are suffering more than ever. So we have to heal the trauma, right? We have to forgive ourselves for doing stupid stuff that was programmed by our culture and the pillars of our culture, right? So we have to recognize that we are good and in our hearts and in our minds, and forgive ourselves, and then take steps to demonstrate abundance and to demonstrate service and stewardship. And by doing so, we heal deeper ourselves, and then we start opening up for healing for everybody.
love it. So for those of us that are in the northern hemisphere, obviously loads of different climates that from everyone's watching. But for us in the UK, we're starting to think about coming into spring, although there's not much sign of it at the moment. I jest, but actually, even with all this horrendous weather, Jim, that we've been having, I've been out on a walk today and there's so many plants starting to shoot through. It's amazing. Um,
Wow. I
so,
love that.
nature recovers so well. It really does. If you just need to give it a chance. But say someone's watching this and they've been on the fence for a while, where would you encourage them to start? And just so that they can really start to get some results coming in to give them the motivation to keep going.
That's a great question, Catherine. Garden what you've got. My friend, I think it's Peggy's Gardens. Garden what you've got. If you have a closet, if you have room for a 5 gallon bucket, put some dirt in it
Yeah.
and put some sweet potato starts in it, and look at it every day. And every few days, just give it enough water, and then look at the leaves of the plant. And then do the leaves look healthy and vibrant? So the plants become our best teachers, our best. When we care for them, they somehow care for us back by providing nutritious medicine and food. So if that's what you've got, do it. If you've got land, do it. If you're a teacher, if you're involved in the prison system, if you're a sheriff, if you're involved in the military, any of these structures, we need to do as Martin Luther King says. He says, those who love peace must learn to organize as effectively as those who love war. And to create the new model by living it, by following Gandhi's advice, be the change that we want to see in the world. So become a producer, even on the tiniest scale, because it will grow from there.
Yeah, I've got really into sprouting. And I mean, absolutely anyone, anywhere in the world, you cannot go wrong with sprouting. And not just for you, but also for our animals. So my guinea pigs love them, the dogs love them. I do grow wheatgrass for the cats as well, and the horses. So, you really can start somewhere. But I would encourage everyone within literally 24 hours of watching this. I want to hear in all the comments what you're going to start with, and don't overburden yourself. Start small. We had our design done a couple of years ago, and we planted probably about 10 fruit bushes last year, and now we've gone for the trees this year, and we're doing the trees and the rest of the fruit branches with our vegetable beds, and we're gradually created more vegetable beds and working out by trial and error. I got a second-hand greenhouse as well, which is really necessary in the UK, whether it is. So I've got a little second-hand greenhouse, and it's such fun just building it up.
Oh my gosh, that is so bad, so fantastic. Well, you're a light. You're shining away, a light on the way. And I just want to share too, we're coming to market with an off-grid food, water, and energy production system with a ham radio and an EMP shield. And it's made of 3D printed steel, cold form steel, and it captures its own water, its own energy, and grows food.
Wow. So when will we find out more about that?
We're literally got it built, the frame today. And then the polycarbonate's going on here in the next couple of weeks, and we will have it online here by, let's say, by Earth Day at the latest.
Okay, fantastic. So will you come back and tell us all about that when you've got that up and running?
Oh, that would be awesome. I would love to, Catherine.
Be absolutely fantastic. So final messages for people, Jim, because when I first met you, it was very new there, and the transformation, I've been following you online and seeing it. I mean, it literally changes and develops so quickly. And for me, when people are watching this, and a lot of people that watch us, they're very well aware of a lot of the problems in the world, but this takes you right back to what can be achieved and how there's always hope everywhere. It's never time to give up hope. There's nothing like nature to bring us back to that.
Oh, that's so right. And when we win this war, for those of us who rise up and collaborate and integrate and help each other and serve and become stewards, the Garden of Eden on the other side of this will be our prize. And yeah, so I invite everybody. Everything we do is open source. We have no patents or non-competes or any of that stuff. We are putting everything back in after for us to thrive. Everything else is going back in, and it's a lot of fun.
I absolutely love it. And I'm going to do a big shout out to Filippo and Henry from your team that have been really helping us. And I want to see the comments below. I really want to see the comments, and so does Jim, below, about what you're starting with. It doesn't matter whether it's cress with the children on the windowsill or something more adventurous. Please, please, just everyone, this is going to be the year when I hope that all of us start to do something different for that. Thank you so much, Jim. I really appreciate your time. I love the fact that you're outside there with proper clouds and proper sunshine. If you could send some sunshine over to the UK, I would be very, very grateful.
Love it.
And we'll definitely connect again when you've got your new system up and running.
Okay, my friend. Have a good day, everybody.
Take care. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. And if you feel inspired, please do share with your friends and family. This helps us spread the word and also helps me encourage some exciting new guests to take part in this podcast. And above all, stay curious and stay free.